Today I'm going to explain the third lab assignment of the book, that is about implementing an external autoscaler to properly adjust the number of replicas for our BusyBug service. To start, please go to the course website and download all provided files. After that, please copy the Collect Profile folder from our previous activities into the Lab folder. And now let's open the folder with Visual Code and look into the files. As you can see, we have three files here. Main load generator, that is identical to the one we had before. We have main autoscaler that you're supposed to complete. And we have test autoscaler to test your autoscaling algorithm. First thing first, we need to make sure that our deployment is still up and running. So let's check it out. All seems to be working. Now let me explain how the main autoscaler works. So the main autoscaler would use express IP, FS, and child process like before. It would listen to port 5000. It waits for two types of commands. One is called build lookup table, and the other one is called autoscale. So when it receives the build lookup table command, it would read all the summary files in our collected profiles folder that we just copied, and it would build lookup table data for that. When it receives the autoscale command, it would actually try to look up into this lookup table, and based on that tries to find the best number of replicas to achieve a required quality of service. And the quality of service here is to have a system with a total delay below our required one for a specific request interval. So let me compile the code and show you how it should work. In the meanwhile, let me explain to you how the test autoscaler is going to test our autoscaler algorithm. In the test autoscaler, we're going to have two variables, which is the URL for the autoscaler and the URL for the load generator. We're going to provide it with two arguments to tell the test autoscaler our target delay for the request interval. We have a send axio post just like before. Before we do the auto scaling, we're always going to shrink our deployment to have only one replica. So here is how we're going to load the setting for the auto scaler just like before. We're going to tell the load generator where is the deployment, and then we're going to ask the auto scaler to make the lookup table, and then after 5 seconds, we're going to ask the load generator to fire up. And after 5 seconds, we're going to ask the load generator to produce load for our BusyBug deployment for 30 seconds with our provided request interval and target delay. And after that, we're going to ask the autoscaler to produce this target delay for this request interval. So let me run the algorithms and show you how they work. So here I have to provide two numbers, the request interval and the total delay. So for example, I say 30. So when I run, as you can see, the two files will be generated first, which is in response to this build lookup table. I'm going to show you those files. And as you can see, it starts from 1 replicas, and then it would be fire up to 5 replicas, and as you can see, the numbers from red are turning into green gradually. So here, as you can see, I requested for a request interval of 30 and the target delay of 30, but my target delay is but my observed delay is way below 30, which means I have too many replicas. So why it scales up to 5? Because in AutoScaler, I always say 5. And this is where you're supposed to find the right number. Before doing that, let me show you how the collected data is produced. So the collected data is a summary of all the summaries here. For example, it says for 1 replica with the request interval of 10, the calculation time for each operation was around 17 milliseconds, and the total delay was this, and then for 1, 2, and then so we'd actually summarize that. And the lookup table is going to summarize this even more. To make a lookup table to say, for example, for the request interval of 20 and the total delay of this, you only need to have 1 replica. And for the request interval of this and the total delay of this, you need only 1 replica. And then this is the lookup table that is generated, and you have to work with this lookup table. You need to read this lookup table to be able to do your assignments.